Allison's escape, Saw 1. Allison Gordon is restrained in her home by Zepp, who has orders to kill her and her daughter if Dr. Lawrence Gordon fails his bathroom task. She loosens the rope by grinding her wrists against it, then hides the slack so the binding still appears tight. A captor who believes a victim is secure tends to close distance and lower a weapon. A captor who sees resistance will tighten bonds or fire. Allison stays still and waits for proximity. When Zepp approaches within arm's reach to verify her condition, she converts deception into action. She lunges, seizes his gun hand to control the muzzle, and drives her mass forward to off-balance him. With the other hand, she grabs scissors and stabs his leg, disrupting stance and reducing pursuit risk. The sequence, conceal the escape, wait, close, disarm, turns a tied captive into an active defender. It buys enough time for outside help to arrive and preserves her daughter's safety by preventing an immediate execution. The Needle Pit, Saw 2. Inside the gas house, a nerve agent is killing the group unless they unlock rooms that hold antidotes. Xavier's assignment is to jump into a pit filled with used syringes and retrieve a key that opens the next door. He refuses the direct risk and throws Amanda into the pit instead. The ethics are indefensible, but the decision exploits the trap's structure. The task is a brute force search, not a personalized trial that only he can complete. Needles cause acute pain and hesitation, yet they do not fully stop fine motor control. Amanda, once in the pit, can still dig quickly, sweep aside debris, and feel for the key by touch. Xavier's move externalizes harm while preserving progress toward escape, which from his perspective maximizes survival odds. The key lesson is how he reframes the challenge. Rather than negotiating with fear or wasting time, he transfers execution to the person he deems most capable in that moment, however cruel the method. The decision is tactically effective because it compresses search time and keeps him uninjured, though his later clumsiness with the lock squanders the advantage the plan created. Daniel's fake-out, Saw 2. Daniel, Matthews, and Amanda are cornered by Xavier, who is stronger and intent on violence. Retreat is blocked by layout and exhaustion. They choose deception that leverages a reliable attacker bias. Vigilance drops when a target appears inert. Daniel lies on the floor, lets his limbs go slack, and slows his breathing to mimic shock or death. Amanda stands aside, keeps her voice low, and avoids sudden movement so the scene reads as aftermath, not a setup. The tactic forces Xavier to trade distance for certainty. To confirm Daniel's condition or to taunt him, he steps into close range and changes stance. At the moment his feet set and his hands are engaged, Daniel snaps up, kicks at the knee to disrupt balance, and grabs a nearby saw as a force multiplier. The saw is not for amputation here. It functions as a rigid baton that extends reach and enables leverage on joints. By pairing a feigned state with a precisely timed strike to a mobility point, Daniel neutralizes a superior opponent long enough to escape. The return of the Saw, Saw 2, Saw 3. Detective Eric Matthews wakes shackled by the ankle in the original bathroom. Cutting through bone with a dull hacksaw would be slow and might cause fatal blood loss. He reframes the constraint. The lock does not demand amputation. It demands reducing the ankle's circumference below the shackle's inner diameter. He removes the porcelain toilet tank lid and uses it as a blunt hammer to shatter the small bones of the foot. This concentrates injury on bone instead of slicing arteries and major veins, which reduces the risk of immediate exsanguination. By crushing the tarsal structure, he collapses the ankle profile and creates slack between skin and steel. He then lubricates with blood and grime and pulls until the cuff slides over the damaged joint. The method is gruesome yet strategically sound. It transforms an apparently binary choice, mutilate or die, into a third option that preserves more tissue and buys time. The decision demonstrates problem decomposition under pressure. Identify the limiting dimension, change the geometry, and escape before shock destroys the ability to act. The closet shot, Saw 3. Detective Allison Kerry returns home and sees a live video feed of her bedroom. That image confirms a camera is inside the apartment and implies the operator is close. Opening the closet to investigate would place her face within arm's reach of a hidden assailant. Calling out would cede initiative. Kerry removes concealment without exposing herself by firing through the closet door at chest height. Shooting through a thin barrier converts uncertainty into a controlled engagement. The intruder's cover is penetrated, and the first decisive action belongs to her. The choice applies 3 tactical principles. First, deny the attacker safe concealment. Second, prioritize speed over visual confirmation when confirmation is likely to trigger an immediate ambush. Third, maintain distance while delivering force. Although the ambusher ultimately avoids the initial volley and captures her elsewhere, the decision itself reflects correct reasoning under ambiguity. Treat the closet as a threat container, apply force to the container, and reduce the opponent's window to act now. The dog decoy, Saw 4. Officer Daniel Rigg must draw Ivan Lansness out of a motel room without a chaotic fight in a narrow hallway. A forced entry would hand the suspect angles, cover, and time to hurt others. Rigg uses a decoy the target will reliably pursue. His own dog. He positions the animal where Ivan can see it outside the room, secures the leash so the dog is safe, and controls sight lines from cover. The plan exploits predictable attachment and curiosity. Retrieving the dog feels urgent, so Ivan leaves a fortified space and steps into an area Rigg can dominate. Outside the threshold, Rigg controls distance, illumination, and approach vectors, all of which improve arrest odds. The decision is smart because it replaces a risky entry with a lure that compels the suspect to surrender advantages voluntarily. It also reflects care for non-combatants. The dog is not harmed, bystanders are not trapped in a crossfire, and the encounter occurs in a more open, manageable environment. The Deadly Betrayal, the final chapter. Brad and Ryan are chained at opposite ends of a frame with circular saws that can be pushed toward each other. Dina, suspended between them, has been manipulating both. The trap is engineered to force a duel. If one man kills the other, Dina lives. If neither acts, she dies. Rather than accept the binary, Brad and Ryan recognize a cooperative third option. They synchronize lever pushes so the saw carriers rise and angle toward Dina, relieving direct threat to each other. The logic is game theoretic. By refusing competition, they remove the designer's primary reward mechanism and redirect harm toward the instigator of deceit. The decision also manages emotion. Instead of acting from jealousy or fear, they align briefly on a common objective: deny the manipulator her leverage, so both men can live. The move is effective within the trap's rules and demonstrates how cooperation can defeat a design built around rivalry and impulsive choice. Reverse bear trap. Escape, Saw 6. Mark Hoffman wakes cuffed and fitted with a reverse bear trap, a device that will tear his jaw open when the timer expires. He cannot remove the helmet in time, but he can change 2 variables, his restraint and the trap's room to expand. He uses the trap's rigid body as leverage against the cuff and deliberately fractures the small bones of his wrist, narrowing the hand until it slips free. With a hand loose, he runs to a doorframe and wedges the trap's expanding arms between steel bars. When the timer triggers, the machine strains against immovable metal and halts before full extension, shredding one side of his face but preserving his life. The sequence demonstrates layered problem-solving: sacrifice bone to defeat the cuff, then exploit architecture to defeat the device. The decision is intelligent because it targets the trap's mechanical dependencies rather than its primary strength, buying survival with controlled injury and precise timing. The death carousel, Saw 6. William Easton must choose 2 of 6 employees to spare from a rotating shotgun. Each stop aligns the muzzle with a different person who pleads for life. Emily survives by understanding that the selection is not a merit review, but an influence decision under extreme time pressure. She speaks first, uses clear structure, and gives specific stakes. She has 2 children, she is their primary caregiver, and her death would orphan them. She avoids attacking colleagues, which would trigger moral reactance, and instead focuses on consequences William can immediately grasp. Her delivery matters as much as the content: steady eye contact, compressed phrasing, and a calm, urgent cadence that fits within the short window before the gun cycles. By appealing to William's protective instincts and supplying concrete reasons to act, she shifts him from abstract fairness to immediate rescue, and he pulls the lever to save her. The final move, the final chapter. After severing his foot to escape a shackle, Dr. Lawrence Gordon is bleeding heavily and near collapse. He scans for materials that can slow hemorrhage and identifies a steam pipe. Cauterization uses heat to seal a wound by denaturing proteins and shrinking vessel walls, forming a charred barrier that reduces external blood loss. Gordon drags himself to the pipe, braces his body, and presses the stump against the hot metal until tissue sears shut. The shock causes him to pass out, but the physiologic effect is decisive. Bleeding slows enough to preserve consciousness once he awakens, and infection risk decreases compared with an open, dirty cut. The decision shows disciplined triage. He applies an available tool to the highest priority threat in the environment, bleeding before pursuing help. By addressing the single variable most likely to kill him within minutes, he increases the probability of survival long enough to be found and treated. The faked death, Saw 4-5. Agent Lindsay Perez appears to die when a billy puppet trap explodes during an investigation. The FBI, led by Agent Dan Erickson, turns the event into a covert operation that removes her from Mark Hoffman's surveillance. By publicly declaring her dead, they solve an information problem. Hoffman tracks active investigators and adjusts his traps accordingly, but he rarely monitors the deceased. The team restricts knowledge of her survival to a small circle, controls hospital records, and moves her to secure care. When she later re-enters the field, she can gather intelligence and act without appearing on Hoffman's radar. The smart element is not only the staged demise, but also the disciplined compartmentalization that follows. The fake death resets the adversary's mental model and buys time for counter-moves, allowing Perez to operate as an unseen agent until the moment her presence has maximum impact decisively. There's always more hidden beneath the surface, so don't stop here. Click the next video on your screen to uncover even more details you might have missed.